Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my YouTube channel, True Divine 44. You can also get me on my Facebook page, True Divine 44. This is part of the daily energy readings that I put out. I combine energy and tarot to bring a narrative to your day to help guide how you get through your day, how much you can make out of the energies within you, how much you can recognize the energies around you and within others. It is general, so take what resonates and leave what does not. This is for the 19th of September 2020. We're in intense times, of course we are. So we're feeling it to varying degrees. So the 10 of Wands is the first card. And so this speaks of there's been a struggle. There's been a struggle that has driven your passions, that has dampened your passions, that has challenged those passions. And that's in relationship, that's in relationship with self, that is in relationship with any business drives, passions you've been going towards. And on the collective stage, all of these, it's as if everybody's going through this cycle of everybody gets a turn, you know, because there's deliberate messaging being put out, calls to action being put out to the subconscious, lower realm, passionate side, to try and entice different groups, different fractions of people to rise up like waves when they feel their lower realm that is misunderstood is challenged. So whatever that passion is, everybody's passion is getting a little tweak and turn and pull. It's like they're fishing from the collective stage right now to see who will bite. And varying different people over this cycle have been biting. So it really has been a wavy journey. It's difficult to carry these rods in this position anyway, as you can see on this card. The guy's leaning into it. He hasn't got them bunched up in the middle, which would make sense. They're fanned out, you know, there's lots of air going through them too. So they're fiery, they're hot to carry. And it isn't easy to carry anything over wavy ground, you know, that it keeps on moving and molding and shaping, and you don't know which direction the next big wave is coming from, or whether you are going to be that big wave. And so we've got the Star card to clarify this, and this is where the wisdom is throughout the cycles. Any cycle that we go through is to transmute, to not hide, to not be afraid of challenge towards our passions, emotions, our wounds, our bliss, because the Star card isn't afraid to face whatever may, whatever emotions are there, whatever lessons have been learned. The Star card enjoys it all. It's like it can envelop, it's an energy that learns how to just envelop itself in being as is, and just understanding from that point of view, not going into it with more trepidation because it's a wound, no more than any trepidation of going into it because it's a bliss. And so it's to not be afraid of self. And this is where these 10 of Wands get less and less extreme when we hit these cycles that have gone on a long time and been quite a burden. We can get ourselves through that cycle. The cycle still exists, but we can get ourselves through that. Not just through that, we can excel within even a difficult cycle. And it is a difficult cycle for most people collectively. And so I can pretty much be assured that on varying degrees, people have been getting through this better or worse, in higher frequency or lower frequency, yet they're all facing the same circumstances, the same cycles. So this is where the bottom of the deck comes in with the Magician card. So it's that as above, so below. This magician, it is most ascended, being able to take in the whole above picture, everything in between, and the below picture. So the higher points of self, the higher frequency of self, but knowing that that is balanced with knowing and understanding the lower frequency of self, and building from that foundation. That as within, so without, you know, the reflection of all ways, sides, you know, to be able to just be a part of it all, and to use these lessons that have been accumulating on the magician's table. You know, emotions have been challenged in this cycle. Passions have been challenged in this cycle. Thoughts have been challenged in this cycle. And your earth, your grounding, your being has been challenged within this cycle. But how do you use that? Do you use that to understand self more and therefore become the magician, which you have to incorporate the star card with, that healing, that not being afraid of self, the ability to transmute even negative things into positive. So to become the magician, it is this rolling cycle of learning, but the key component, not being afraid to be with self, to understand self more. That being the balance here that is above his head, the 8 turned on its side, the balance, the yin and the yang, the divine feminine, divine masculine, the ability that this is a conveyor belt. You know, you learn, you channel from the lower frequency, and you know, in the middle point, hopefully you've got an understanding of this lower frequency, an acceptance of this lower frequency, and therefore can use that to your power in the higher frequency part of your cycle. But if you haven't, you'll go around here and get spat back out, you know, maybe at the same level or below. But if you can keep ascending up within this cycle of infinity, it's an enormous achievement. It's the true exploration of being. And so we've got, with the High Priestess being the second card again, this understanding of the balance of self, the light and the dark, the divine feminine, divine masculine, the lower realms, and therefore knowing the lower realms of the collective stage and the higher frequency of the collective stage. Just knowing those cycles, by knowing self, you understand so much more outside of self. So this being the accumulation from the Fool card, the experience, to the Magician, knowing what to do with that experience and the tools that have been attained within it. And we get to the 2 here with the High Priestess, of the balance of all of that I've mentioned before, and knowing how to use it to attain what would be next as the Empress, to bring into manifestation. So we've got the Death card to clarify this High Priestess. And it really is showing that we are in an intense time of transformation. And it all depends on each individual as to what the other side of that transformation looks like. Some people will excel in it. Some people will truly have a harness of themselves, an understanding of themselves, and being able to harness that power to manifest the reality that they're working towards. And other people will falter and, you know, have a fear of self, a non-understanding of self, and, you know, things will come crumbling down. And so this affects the next card with the 10 of Pentacles. This being able to accumulate and assimilate all of the lessons that have been spoken about in the other cards, and bring your reality, the reality that you experience, the abundance, into alignment. So there's this payoff for that inner work, and it reflects right into the outside of your reality, the space you live in, the people that you're with, the abundance that you have. Then, of course, that goes on to reflect in the collective. But to clarify this card, we've got the Tower card. So this speaks of what I spoke about with the High Priestess and the Death card, in that there seems to be the 2 options here, and it's up to the individual as to what the outcome is. And so where we've got a lot of people being in true alignment, abundance, not in lack, we've got other people losing a lot of parts of their lifestyle, whether that's individuals within the lifestyle, whether that's business, job, whether that is just the view of what the world is. Maybe really challenging times for a lot of people to realize that this hasn't been a reality, it's been somebody else's reality, or a collective of a few's reality projected onto me. And so there really is this feeling of severe separation today between the two frequencies, and that becoming very apparent. The other message for me in these two cards is that a lot of people have been harnessing themselves on the lessons and have been pushed and prodded to such a point regarding their passions on those waves that they are bringing their true abundance, the knowing of the true self, and challenging those towers that have caused the collective to suffer, that have lied to the collective, that have projected this illusion of power and grandeur, that they have over everyone else, that they have some kind of right. The lesson is that that right was only theirs for as long as enough of the collective gave it to them. You know, that their power was truly an illusion of built up systems and strategies to hold people in a place of lack, to hold people in a place of not being divine and sovereign. But it feels like on a big scale that around the world, in many places, those towers are being challenged. They've sort of overplayed their hand and not given true credit to the beings that are willing to look at self and do that inner work and allow it to reflect on the outside. And so on the bottom of the other deck, we have the Knight of Swords. And this is that charging energy, either charging forth into your new transformational, the next side of your cycle, and doing it because you've been able to be truthful with self, to be quite brutal, to go in there and not be afraid, to really harness the energy of the mind, to be brave like this knight, to run into self full force with truth and not be afraid of what truths are unveiled, but also that collective charging towards these towers that have been built up, that serve to control the many, and the taking no prisoners, taking no shit kind of energy. So it's a powerful, powerful day. As always, depending on how you harness it will ultimately decide upon the outcome for you. And it remains to be seen how many people, you know, are willing enough to do that inner work, that it has a huge effect in a good way on the collective stage and the powers that be. So that's the reading for the 19th of September 2020. If you'd like a private reading with me, any spiritual guidance, any energy work, you can get in touch at truedivinemedia@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Facebook Messenger at truedivine44. Much love, be balanced and be whole. Mwah.